So far, we've been working with GitLab kind of mostly on the command line. We've been using GitLab to push and to pull, but we haven't really done anything with GitLab like I see on my screen right here. GitLab is a fully featured project management software and version control repository. One of the features that it offers is the ability to do things that teams working in software development commonly used for project management. And one of the features that it provides is to have issues. So I'm going to click on issues here in my project. An issue is a way for us to take a thing that we need to do for our project and write that down so that we can keep track of it. There's a lot more involved in this, and for the scope of this course, we just need to focus on making issues and using those issues to get something done. So I'm going to click on New Issue here. The title of an issue is going to be some really short, concise sentence about what that issue should be. And so I'm going to say that the thing that I want to work on for this project is to learn a new programming language. And I want to pick a programming language that's going to make me lots and lots of money. And one of the programming languages that makes people lots and lots of money is one of the programming languages that people don't use so much anymore. And the one I'm going to pick is called COBOL. In GitLab, there are two different types of issues that you can have. There's an issue, and this is something that you want to do. It's a thing, it's a task that you have that you want to do. There's also incidents. These are kind of outside the scope of this course, but when something happens with a project, so if there's a crash or if there's a bug report or if there's some kind of a data breach, you might pick an incident here instead of an issue. We're going to stick with issue. The description of your task or your issue is going to be a long form description of it. This is going to be something where you're describing steps to reproduce the bug or the things that you want to include in the issue or the feature that you're trying to build. This is Markdown. It's all Markdown. And that's one of the reasons why we start with Markdown in this course, is so that when we're getting to this point, we can use Markdown to include in text fields like this. And so I want to learn a new programming language that's going to get me lots and lots of money. And so in GitLab with issues, we can actually have tasks within an issue. And the way that we put tasks is to have a bullet list of checkboxes. We can make a bullet list of checkboxes by typing in a bullet list, so an asterisk at the beginning, and then square brackets. The square brackets have a space in between them to say that this is not a checked checkbox. The first thing I need to do is I need to learn COBOL. COBOL is a programming language that's used commonly at banks. And so after I learn COBOL, I need to get an interview at RBC. And then finally, after I get an interview at RBC, I get money. I need to get lots and lots of money. If we switch to rich text editing here, so there's a button here that says switch to rich text editing, what we're going to see is that these are checkboxes and I can check them off. And if I switch back to plain text editing, what we can see is that we can have this ticked checkbox by having an X in here instead of a space. We're going to take a look at this again in just a second, but there's some other issues here, or other parts to an issue. One is that you can pick an assigned person. When you're working on a team, you might want to say that someone is responsible for this specific issue. It's only me working on this project, so I'm going to say assigned to me. We can also pick due dates. I think this is due today. Let's say that it's due at, today. It's due today. Milestones are going to be something else that you can think about in terms of project management. But we're not going to think about that because that's a little bit outside the scope of this course. These are kind of like bigger tasks. There's a deadline for many different tasks and many different issues. We're not going to think about that right now. The last part is a label. A label is what it says in the box. You can categorize issues based on different types of labels. So if this is a feature or a bug, you can add these labels here to help filter things later. I'm going to create this issue, and I can really quickly see that there's a bunch of different issues that are attached to this. I've already checked this one off, so I'm going to uncheck it. I've forgotten COBOL. I don't remember anything about this. And so it unchecks it and it tells me that it's marked as incomplete. I can check it off again. Yeah, I learned COBOL in the last 10 seconds, so now it's completed. And let's say that I got this interview at RBC. Yeah, I got this interview at RBC. Great. So I can tick it off, and it's going to keep track of that. So if I go back to these different issues and I take a look at it, these things are going to stay ticked off or checked off. Issues are a good way for us to keep track of the things that we're trying to work on. There's a lot more on the screen that you can clearly see related to issues that it's kind of outside the scope of this course. But as you get into workplaces and as you get into further courses that involve project management, you're going to see more with these kinds of issues in GitLab.